I got a card trick for you.
I like card tricks.
Our farmers is the land, our farmers is the ability to work it, and the third one's the capital that's needed. Which two have to stay together? The banks, for wanting to use Peter's word, will lend you the umbrella until the day it rains and they want it back with interest. We can get the capital and get the farm and tell the farmer to go. Who's going to run it? If we put the capital with the farmer who's got all the knowledge to run it and we leave him on his farm instead of kicking him off, what have we just achieved? Exactly the same thing we should have been doing for 50 years. Okay, it's a free world, people are allowed to make bad decisions and bad businesses and go up and down, but there's only one business that is totally dictated by the weather, and that's farming. Phyto Solutions takes a big percentage of that out for the animal farmers. Green Cow puts the capital in where the banks can't lend anymore. The banks are tied up anyway under the rules of the banking, how much they can lend. Whether they lend them 80%, now down to 70, and GFC hits down to 50, back up, farmer goes, another farmer comes, sell it off to a big conglomeration. I don't see how that is a benefit to us.
Well, sorry, Joe. If a country doesn't have control of its food security and its food production, that country is vulnerable, and I could use harsher words. I'm just going to say vulnerable, because I live in the city and there's a coffee shop nearby, it's nice, it's lovely. But if the farmers don't produce, whether it's, we're in helping beef farmers at the moment and later will be other farmers, but if the farmers don't produce it and that's not secure, and not only is that production of the food secure, that community is secure, because when the community loses a farmer from depression or suicide, that's a resource. There's a human cost to that that's bloody horrendous. And it's devastating. And I've been speaking to people and you start crying because you hear the story. But that resource, from just the Australia's point of view, there's the farmer that we've got as the first farmer. He grew up on that farm 50 odd years ago. He is a good man who wants to do a good job to produce, to contribute to Australia. And we just need the money to facilitate that process. And compassion is marvellous. We're all compassionate. I've looked around while I've been talking, a couple of times when I've teared up, there's tears in other people's eyes. We're a compassionate people in Australia. But right now, compassion without bloody action
means nothing.
Some woman said to me the other day, I will pray for you. And I said, thank you, darling. I'm grateful you're going to pray for me. I need all the bloody help I can get. But right now, while you're praying, go and tell 20 of your friends about us, because if they put in $20,000 each, or $25,000 each, sorry, to put the mathematics right, our first farmer is in business and going.
They're lined up behind him, and let's just be business from here on in, if I can.
Yeah.
We've got the money if we want it. There's overseas people wanting to throw all the money at us.
So you'll take Mr. Wong's money or Mr. Singh's money from
at this
India
early
and
stage,
China?
no. I'm involved in this on a voluntary basis to start with, and my passion for helping farmers. And I've seen what they do. Unless they can tell me they're going to look after the farmer, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
And
there's a major group from overseas that wants to do it. How many farmers do you reckon we can get? We could probably get 200 in a year if you could possibly expand it that quick, because there's quite a bit to doing it and teaching the farmer and putting everything right on there. But if everything's controlled overseas and there's no money staying here, at this stage I want to see Australians invest in Australia. But if there's overseas money, but there is overseas money, and I've been involved in commercial real estate for quite a few years, and there's some good people from overseas with money. I think Landline proved that 2 weeks ago after
the guy in New
Zealand, where they were dead against that Chinese businessman. Turns out he's the most honourable bloke you'd ever want to meet, and everyone loves him.
Yeah.
And there's a case for that in all the different rich conglomerations around the world. Yeah. But why should we go there? You know, there's a saying that who knocked down the Berlin Wall?
Yeah,
The people did.
the people.
Yeah. What happened at Tiananmen Square? The people. What's it going to take for Australians to get up? What's it going to take for them to move their feet and say, let's look after our food bowl, our people? There's a lot of rich people in Australia.
And I want to talk about that when we come back from the break. Where are we going to get the money from?